Hey guys, B.O.L.T here. We're here for Fallout summary. So this is not really a full long story summary. It's mostly just the functionality of the world. I need to get a few of these stories done because I'm trying to do horror stories. I have a few ones written down. I also want to go look for creepypastas. That way Halloween actually feels like Halloween on this channel. We're also going to be doing a lot more fan games that month, this coming month. Um, so anyways, Fallout 1 and 2 is kind of hard to find its exact its placement because it's whenever you're trying to look for information on it, it's a little hard because you can't really get the first two, but you can get an idea of what they were. But basically, the first one was, I think the original was, there was a part of, actually, I'm not even telling the origin. So during the Cold War, instead of us racing to do technology against the Russians, we actually did a nuclear war against them, and actually started doing things like lasers and nuclear energy. And it was basically what they originally thought as the future at the time. But anyways, we ended up having a nuclear war. Most of the United States was nuked. The only thing that had some parts of the world still had most of its area, but due to radiation and all that, things mutated. The government had created vaults just in case they did get nuked, so they already pre-qualified people to go into these vaults. Sadly, of course, some people didn't make it, so things like super mutants and ghouls were made. And basically, ghouls are this universe's radiated zombie, where super mutants are just humans that evolved, and some people kept their intellect, some people didn't. But that's people that were further away from the blast. People that were, of course, close to it were basically disintegrated. Anyways, there were a few people that were put into vaults. That way, when it went all to crap, there was people still alive. And all of these vaults were timed differently. All of them opened and let people out at certain points in time. Some had cryostasis, which is basically just freezing you or putting you into a deep sleep, and keeping you good for decades, and you would come out basically still the way you were when you went in. And I think the biggest one that was particular in was in Fallout 4. But anyways, Fallouts 1 and 2, the first one is someone, and the first was probably the first one to actually release, that was closest to the actual nuke. It is realized that they can't sustain a clean vault. So the vault leader had chosen someone to go out, which you play as. He goes through this huge thing. He finds a vault that is in shambles and finds the technology that keeps breathable air in the vault, and that's what he was really there for. He's able to return to the vault with the machine, keeping everyone else alive for the remainder of their time as vault dwellers. But the guy who went out to actually claim it was so radiated. The vault leader said, "You can't return into the vault. You're too much radiated. You'd be actually you'd be too harmful to the vault." And he ended up leaving and creating his own community with people that have already left the vault. And he basically made his own settlement. In Fallout 2, you can actually find his statue. And same thing with Fallout 2, basically, as you get released to go find a MacGuffin for the vault, or for the remainder of the world, and that's really what Fallout 2 was. Fallout 3, you actually get to find out who that person was. Even though people say it's just a theory, it is not. In Fallout New Vegas, you get to meet the Fallout 3 dweller, which was actually, she made her own hotel out of a vault in the New Vegas strip. You can have romantic feelings with her, but anyways, she is your main protagonist for Fallout 3, which is basically Fallout 1 and 2, just 3D. New Vegas is basically humans have been a part of the wasteland for some time now. They've learned how to survive in the environment. They've made new settlements. People are actually getting new generations. And you're just a lonely courier, and you end up getting caught in a deal that has valuable stuff in it, and you're the one with the valuableness. And everyone else, everyone else was a decoy, except for you. There's 8 people. All 7 have decoys, except for you. You have the main ship itself. And basically, you get hunted down by this guy called Manny, I believe it was. No, not Manny. He looks like an Elvis impersonator with a checkered suit, but he shoots you in the head, gives you some brain damage, but you survive it. And the chip ends up being a piece of technology to activate security protocols and other things for the New Vegas Strip, and especially its overseer, Mr. House, who owns the biggest Vault casino on it, and he just has an entire robotic army. And he's basically one of the original generations from the Vault, and he had his brain and the decaying body put into a stasis to where he's still connected and he can actually interact with people. But anyways, he needs this ship that way he can go back into controlling the New Vegas Strip and actually, have this fighting force. And basically the entire storyline you can go by is give him the chip, go and do it yourself and become the new ruler of New Vegas Strip and all that. You can actually give it to other areas, and then after you do whatever with the chip, there is a fight for the dam, the Hoover Dam, which is between NCR, which is like the government, versus the Caesar's Legion, which are basically what are they called? They basically are like the most ruthless and the more wilderness kind of people. They don't care for another human being else than themselves, and that's what Caesar's Legion is. Anarchist. That's what they are. And basically you're fighting between this huge resource, and you can you can either side on either. You can be a third party and take them out with your robots, or there is an extra one where you side with people that have all this war technology, and you can just bust them out with that, and you can actually it just gives you a bigger, more easier win on either of those 3 sides. In Fallout 4, you're basically one of the people that got lucky with a stasis tank, but your spouse, either the husband or the wife, depending on which gender you are, your spouse gets killed, where your baby gets taken. You are released late versus everyone else, and you come to this brand new world where it's past everyone's due date to actually be there, and you're probably the last of your generation. You learn that your son is still out there, and you are able to find a settlement that you fight back to try to figure out that they are actually the settlement that took your kid, and you find out that the ruler is your son, and the one that you were running around to get was actually your grandchild. Because you kept seeing a little boy and thinking that was your son, but nope, that is your grandson. And then in Fallout 76, there really isn't that big of a storyline. It is one of the most unradiated areas because they didn't nuke it too bad. There's still a lot of grass and nature around that area. There's still, of course, radiated and mutated creatures around there. And all you are is just the entire vault is awake. And it's kind of like the most celebrated awakening because it might be one of the first few vaults opened, and it's in the more rich class is basically what that area is. And that's really it for Fallout, because really there's nothing to know. You're just someone who goes into a wasteland trying to make humanity out of it. But of course, things like nature still try to fight back. Anyways, that's it for this. I'll try to take a little, like I think I said early in the video, yesterday was just to give me a little break. Next weekend we'll have Harry Potter summary and Hell of a Boss Season 1 summary. And then we're actually already looking at juniors. I already finished juniors. I can't with its bullcrap components. We also have Arkham series and Scooby-Doo Unmasked, and then we start doing Halloween stuff after that. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.